Hello, 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 and welcome to the Limitless Podcast with Imani Adia. I'm your host, Imani Adia, mindset coach and transformational speaker. And this is the podcast for ambitious, high achieving individuals to unleash their limitless potential and become the best version of yourself. So, whether you are feeling lost, stuck, or you're just ready to level up, you are in the right place. Today, we are talking about all things life crisis. I mean, midlife crisis, quarter life crisis, especially because those numbers are rising, and just the life crisis that hits you on a random Tuesday. And I can say that random Tuesday with, yeah, I see you type of energy because that was me. I'll never forget, I was in Puerto Rico. I was speaking to a lady much older than I was, much older. And we're having amazing conversation. And she stops and she looks at me and she's like, "How did you get here?" I'm like, I had my midlife crisis at the age of 18, and I am not joking. It was at the age of 18 that I was literally asking myself, what am I doing with my life? I need to pause, I need to reset. I felt like I was going crazy. I was like, this cannot be it. This is not what life is chalked up to be. And I really started asking myself the deeper questions of what is my purpose? What life do I want to live? What does that look like? Who do I want to be remembered as? What does legacy look like for me? I started to ask those deeper questions. And what I find is in any crisis that you are going through, whether it's a midlife, whether it's a quarter life, whether it's a random Tuesday life crisis, what they do is that they all push us to ask bigger, deeper questions of ourselves, right? On a soul level. And so that's what I really took with me at the age of 18. And I continue to do that, right? Because the crisis happens when you stop asking yourselves those bigger questions. When you just start living your life without intention, when you just start moving, but not truly having a purpose behind the steps that you are taking. And so, all the life crisis does is that it shakes us up to say, hey, your soul came here for a reason. And so, what you need to do now is really listen to the why and your why and how that why is going to look when you actually live in it and live with it. And so I am a big person when it comes to definitions. I'd like for all of us to be on the same page. And so, with us being on the same page, I grabbed definitions off the internet of what a crisis is, just the word crisis. These are the definitions that were pulled. So, number one, a time of intense difficulty, trouble, or danger. Number two, a time when a difficult or important decision must be made. And number three, the turning point of a disease when an important change takes place, indicating either recovery or death. That last one, I have many thoughts. We're going to get to it a little bit later. And so, what I want to start off with is my own life crisis and how I got there, right? On a random Tuesday of just asking myself these bigger questions. What happened was I went to college and my environment changed. It was an environment where the people around me seemed to be doing extremely well. And I found myself comparing my journey to the journey of others around me. And I am not a fan of comparison, but I believe that this comparison needed to happen, right? It needed to happen because what I was comparing, what I was jealous of, is that they seem to be excited about their challenges while I was miserable in mine. There wasn't any excitement, there wasn't any joy, there wasn't any positivity around the challenges that I was going through during that time. And I know what it means to have challenges and to be resilient. And even in the times where I've had to be resilient, let me tell you something. I still appreciate the process. I appreciate being pushed outside my boundaries. I do not run away from a challenge. This was not a challenge. This was a wake up call from my soul saying, this is not the life that we are supposed to be living. And for about 4 months, I didn't listen. I did not listen. I continued to persevere. I decided to continue in the challenge. Number one, I grew up with the mentality that I'm not a quitter. And so to move in a different direction meant that I was going to quit on this version of myself. I was going to quit on these past desires. I was going to quit on these dreams that I had, a dream that I've had since I was a little girl. And I wasn't quite in the space yet to be able to be honest with myself and be honest with the fact that the path that I was leading myself down isn't a path that truly aligned with what I wanted. It was aligned with what I thought I wanted. Now, that's going to be a different episode for another day of just what is it to grieve the old version of yourself. But we're not doing that today. Another episode is coming around that. And so I was in an in between phase of just holding on to the person that I was, right? And then looking at who's the person that I truly want to become, but also who's the person that's just already inside of me at my core level. So that was something that I was really contemplating and really struggling with. And when I say struggle, I mean I cried myself to sleep every night for about 4 months. No one knew. For 4 months, I cried myself to sleep. I would get dressed and get ready because I didn't want the people who were around me to know that I was just in such a bad place. So I was faking it very well. It was really difficult because I felt so disconnected from myself, and I literally was like, I don't know what's going on with me. And after the end of those 4 months, I finally gave myself the space, right? Because I was tired of being tired. I was tired of crying every night. It was to the point where I had literally no more tears. It's like, girl, you gotta get your life together. And so after the girl, get your life together moment, I really was like, I want to live a different life. And so I found myself pushed right into self development. I was taking walks. I was reading all the self help books that you can think of. I was listening to podcasts. I was engulfing myself into that world because I was dedicated and I was committed to showing up as a better version of myself. I knew that there's no way this is as good as life gets for me. I know that there's a plan for me. I know that I have a purpose. And so I'm going to stop playing myself and I'm going to get up. And there are some of you all out there, you need to get up. You are ambitious. You are high achieving. I know what it feels like to have the accolades and to have the accomplishments and to still and come to a point in your life where you feel like it doesn't matter because it's not what you truly want. Because something has shifted inside of you and it has happened, and maybe it was happening over time or maybe it happened overnight, but whatever happened, there was a shift inside of you and you're like, I'm not sure where I'm going anymore. And to be a person that always had a plan, that always has a plan for the plan, and if the plan doesn't work, then you have a plan from A to Z. You're always ready, you're always prepared. But to be a person that plan A usually works out for you, and so you go after plan A with all that you have. And so to then be in a place where you don't have vision, it's scary because you are a person that always has things figured out. So to not have things figured out, it's uncomfortable because that means that you are now in the unknown. And there was so much freedom that I was able to give myself when I allowed myself to be okay with not knowing what was next. What I did is I made an agreement with myself that I am going to explore everything. What happens is I believe we all think that we should all have it figured out. At whatever age that we are, like we should know exactly what we're doing when we hit 20. We should know exactly what we're doing when we hit 30, 40, 50. We should be a pro. Everything should be figured out. But the truth is you are forever growing and you are forever evolving. The only thing that stays constant is change. And for us to believe that the world is always changing, that things are always changing around us, but we can't change. We have to be fixed. We have to stay constant. That is one of the biggest myths that we have been told, that we have believed, that keeps us small and it keeps us feeling stuck and almost like we're going crazy. because we do not give ourselves the space to color outside of the lines and outside the limits that we've imposed on ourselves. Just because you have one identity doesn't mean that that will be your identity forever. Just because you are in one career or you have this title, that doesn't mean that that is the title that you are going to have for the rest of your life. So to be able to give yourself the space and the grace to explore, to give yourself the space and the grace to ask yourself, what is it that I want to do right now? Where am I being called to serve? That was a very important question for me. What is my purpose? What is my why? What am I naturally good at? What are the things that I look at that and I just want to try? Let me tell you, that second semester schedule, it was all over the place. I was taking computer science classes, Spanish classes, education classes, communication classes. It really was all over the place. I was in gym. When I tell you all over the place, I was taking this other class on environmental science. I was all over the place. I needed that. It was my launching pad to figuring out who it is that I was being called to be at that moment. And really answering the question of, what is it that you want to do? Who is it that you want to be? And where do you naturally thrive? What are your talents and your gifts? You were given them for a reason. Why would you not lean into them? So many of us don't lean into our talents and gifts. And I will be honest, right, about the reason why some of us don't take the leap, the reason why I didn't take the leap. It's because when you tell somebody that you're going to become a doctor, right, it was, oh, you must be so smart. You must be a genius. Then I would tell people, right, I finally decided I don't want to do this. And so I was really drawn to communications. Go figure, look at me on a mic now, which I've always been in that space, even as a child. I love speaking. But what I will say is, when I tell people like, oh, I do speaking or communications during that time, specifically in school, it was like, oh, okay. Or like, what do you plan on doing with that? People did not see the vision, but that's okay. Because the vision is not for them to see. There's somebody out there, they're supposed to be a doctor. They are going to impact so many lives as a doctor. Shout out to you. I got friends right now in medical school. I love that for them. When I say love, I love that for them. I also know where I'm being called. And so what I had to do was release the expectations of society, release what I thought other people were going to say. And so there's some of you that are in crisis right now, that are in the in-between, and you're actually not stuck. Because deep down, you do know the answer. You know exactly what you need to do next. The truth is, you are so focused and worried about what other people may have to say about what it is that you do next, that it's actually stopping you from doing what you know that you're supposed to do. So yes, I gave myself time to explore. Deep down, I knew exactly what I was going to major in. Deep down, I knew it was where my gifts lied and where my talents were. I knew. I just wasn't ready to face the criticism of others, because the voice and the expectations of what is accepted in our society was much louder than the voice within me that was saying, this is where you are being called to serve right now. This is who you are. This is where you will thrive. Other people may not thrive in it. Other people may not see the need. But the people who will need you and the need that you will serve, it will only happen if you show up. And so I will say that was a time where I was really meditating, and my relationship with others and their expectations changed, right? That relationship changed, and the voice within me became louder and became valued way more than other people. The resources that I used to really help me get out of this hole that I was in, which was, number one, journaling. Journaling really allowed me to just process and reflect on what I was feeling. right? It allowed me to just be honest with myself. And one of the things that you can do with journaling, so many times people believe that it's writing. Yes, you can write. You can also do yourself a video log. I have video log messages from that time. I don't know if anyone will ever see them, but I do. I have them for me. I also have journals about me just writing about my day to day, writing about what I was feeling, writing about the things that I wanted, the things that I didn't want, and they're all there. And like I said, it was just really a time where it allowed me to process what was going on. Another thing that I was doing was meditating. Meditation is all about sitting in the silence. And that's what we don't do enough of. Because the outside world is so loud. Literally, there are so many things going on, from the news, from social media, taking up space, right, in your brain, but also in your heart. Like it's just taking up time and it's taking up energy. And so what I had to do was I had to get very still. I had to get still so that I could listen to the voice that was actually inside of me, and I had to get very still so I could connect with a voice that much bigger than mine. It's like, God, what are we doing? And so when I connected and when I got into this silence, there was a stillness and a clarity that happened that I'm so appreciative of. And I continue to go back to that silence. I continue to go back to that stillness because I know that there is clarity. So many times we look for the answer outside of ourselves, when sometimes the answer is within ourselves. And I know with meditation, it can feel uncomfortable because you are so used to hearing noise. You are so used to the outside voices. And it does take a minute for you to get used to it. And so what I really encourage you to do is a guided meditation. So another thing that you can do, which I've already touched on, is asking yourself the bigger, deeper questions that cause you to expand. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Who am I? Where am I being called to serve? And when you start asking yourself those bigger, deeper questions, ones that are connected to something bigger than you, that's when you are able to show up at a soul level, because it pushes you to be greater than who you are being right now. One of my favorite authors is Toni Morrison. I love her particularly when she is doing interviews. In one interview, she talks about how people always say, well, we didn't choose to be here. And then she goes and says, I believe we did. And in me thinking about that, and that's the same thing that I'm going to pose to you, is a question of, what if you did choose to be here? What if you came here looking to learn, looking to serve, looking to grow, looking to experience as a soul in a human body? What would that look like? And so I have a document that you can literally grab in the description that has those different questions that you can ask yourself if you are looking to expand. It's truly up to you, but those are the 4 different methods or tools that I use. The answers that you are seeking are within you. And whether you are in a midlife crisis, a quarter life crisis, or just a life crisis on a random Tuesday, I see you. And if you take time to look within, you will be ready to go and live your life on the outside. Once again, I am Imani Adia. Thank you so much for listening to the Limitless podcast. Really excited for this episode. I'll make sure to link all the things below. If you aren't on YouTube watching this, please like, comment, and share. And until next time, go be limitless.